August the 6th, 2024. Guys, I hope you folks across Florida and Georgia and South Carolina are being safe this afternoon, and I hope you keep power. If you haven't got it, you get it back on soon. We're thinking about you. We've all been there. This is an important article I want to share with you. It came out this afternoon from warnews247.gr. The GR is because it's in Greek, but it translates. It says hundreds of Iranian missiles are in firing positions, targeting strategic facilities across Jerusalem. The U.S. sends F-22 and F-A-18 squadrons. Iran will attempt a spectacular blow to the heart of Israel. Now, it's not saying they're going to target strategic facilities across Israel. It's saying Jerusalem. It's important, the Holy Land, for many people on both sides. But Iran will attempt a spectacular blow to the heart of Israel. So Jerusalem, you better be aware of this. But, guys, they've got, again, hundreds of missiles. They can't just hit the heart of Israel without hitting, I guess, launch pads, or Iron Dome, whatever it is. It's going to be massive the way they're talking. Now, some of the articles here are mentioning that the U.S. has been planning this with Israel in case of an attack. It says the U.S. is urgently moving additional reinforcements to the Middle East as information from Western intelligence services speak of a very dangerous and radically different when compared to the one in April. Iranian attack, which will take place in 3 stages, with the main target being Jerusalem. For this reason, the U.S. moved to the Middle East an F-22 Raptor squadron from Elmendor Air Force Base in Alaska. Guess you don't have to watch Alaska with worried about Russia all these years, huh? And an FA-18 squadron from the aircraft carrier USS Theodore Roosevelt. Now, yesterday they were talking about in one of these articles how much pressure that Netanyahu was under from different people in his group, commanders and so forth, to do a preemptive strike. And I think they, kind of the way they said it was, are we going to sit here as a nation and wait to be bombed? Pretty close to what they were talking about. It makes sense in a way, especially in these days and times. But it says the U.S. is concerned both the scope and depth of the Iranian attack and Israel's response. They do not even rule out a possible Israeli deterrent strike. Again, that's what people are calling for. The U.S. is concerned about a possible preemptive action by Israel. They even asked Jerusalem for early notification if the Israelis strike first. Now, do you remember on the last strike when they took out a couple of commanders, when Israel's Air Force did, that the U.S., they said they could not notify the U.S. because there's too many leaks. Every time they gave them information, it seems like Iran and Iraq got it also. Characteristically, Defense Secretary Gallant of the IDF, he said, told Israeli pilots and Air Force forces to prepare for the unexpected, to be ready for action at a short notice. Now, I will link to the article again. I'm going to just link to the website because it's the main article, but it's surrounded by very important other ones. This is a video. I'm not going to play it. It says the U.S. Air Force F-22 Raptor stealth fighters arrived at RAF, that's British, at Lakenheath earlier today from Elmendor Air Force Base in Alaska, for their deployment to the Middle East because of ongoing tensions between Israel and Iran. And here you've got the video of the arrival. You scroll this down, and there's another video here from U.S. Central Command, or CENTCOM, a U.S. Navy E-2D refuels. And this looks like one of the big communication planes, that guys that look at everything. You see that big dish on the top. It says the E-2D refuels in flight from a U.S. Air Force 8C-130 over the U.S. Central Command area of responsibility. Now, I think Iran and some of those people over there, guys, have declared no-fly zones up to, I think, around 12,000 feet or 14,000 feet or something like that because of possible situations. But it says the movement of the Iranian missiles across the country has begun. The U.S. has detected Iranian preparations for a possible military response to Israel, according to 2 U.S. officials with knowledge of the Secret Service reports. U.S. intelligence officials observed the Iranian armed forces conducting military exercises as well as moving ballistic missiles and missile-armed launchers around the country, indicating preparations for an attack on Israel. Iran's aviation organization issued a NOTAM today to warn pilots and aviation authorities of live fire drills in western Iran on August the 7th and the 8th. We're already into the 7th on Universal Time, getting close to it, setting the danger zone at an altitude of 12,000 feet. That's what it is. It says that 3 U.S. officials said that during the White House Situation Room briefing with Joe Biden and Kamala, members of the President's National Security Team said there are still several variables of an Iranian retaliatory strike against Israel that are still unknown, including the time and extent of the attack. Now, remember I mentioned a few minutes ago that Israel said they really didn't trust the U.S. with too much intelligence because it always seemed to leak. Well, there's also a report out on one of the alternative news sites that said by the time this meeting got started, they had to ask Miss Harris to leave, and she was seen leaving with her escorts out of this meeting before it got started good. It says intelligence officials expect 3 waves of attacks, one from Hezbollah, then one from Iran, and one from other Iran-backed groups. Now, you've got people like Egypt now backing out of any kind of deal with Israel. You've got Jordan backing out. They note that it is not known which attack will come first. U.S. officials told the Wall Street Journal they are concerned that Iran has learned from its last attack on Israel, and the upcoming attack could be drastically different from what we saw in April. Again, here's another link that's in this article. It says, estimates in Israel. Hezbollah will attack first before Iran. The warning will be short. Israel is at peak readiness and has already announced that it will react harshly to any attack on its territory. It is a small nation, and if you're surrounded, like it does mention in the Bible a couple of times, it's going to be hard to defend all of the variables. And we don't know how effective much help will be, because there's been ship after ship that the Hezbollahs have been taking out, or not the Hezbollahs, excuse me, the Houthis in Yemen, which is all tied, basically Iranian proxies as well as Hezbollah. They're saying that Israel is preparing for the possibility that Hezbollah will launch precision missiles first before Iran. Unlike Iran, Hezbollah's proximity to Israel will make it difficult to prepare in time. This is coming from Israeli media. And they're right there on the northern border, guys. So, you're not going to have time to get jets in the air and do a whole lot of other things other than try to shoot this stuff down. And I expect that they may be the first to launch, but it may be very well connected to where it's hard to combat at the same time and back down forces from every direction, especially with the weapons that are available worldwide now. Israel's estimates that Iran's axis will target locations of high strategic value, such as the Knesset, the Prime Minister's office, the Israelis' defense headquarters in Tel Aviv, Mossad headquarters, Air Force and IDF intelligence bases. Other potential targets include power plants, seaports, military bases, and airports. That's right, guys. And so it's going to be an all-out war if this comes down and this happens. And there's so much saber rattling that, and most of the saber rattlers have something to profit from this, by the way. But anyway, there's a lot of that going on. This may be the one that everybody's worried about. An Israeli reservist who operates air defense systems told the Wall Street Journal that he could not recall a time with such a scale of defense preparedness for a war in the north. Now, if this is coming from the Wall Street Journal, doubt that's very true, because who in the world in the Israeli army would call the Wall Street Journal and tell them anything about a battle when they won't even talk to the president? Think about that. Or the vice president. Jerusalem is the target, the Israelis say. Here's why. The possibility of a rocket attack on Jerusalem in the next war is 100%, warns a senior Israeli officer in charge of protecting the capital. Intelligence experts have already mapped potential damage and calculated the expected death toll in a missile attack. This is according to a Ynet report. Colonel Shalami Ben Yair, who recently completed his term as head of the Jerusalem's Home Front Command, said that they will definitely be a wave of rockets if conflicts break out. Again, the U.S. intelligence is telling them that they're moving hundreds of rockets. In response to the looming threat, Israel is taking a multi-layered approach to protecting Jerusalem. The IDF recently approved the conversion of more than 20 underground parking lots in the capital into bomb shelters during a war. And I saw pictures of that yesterday, and it was just like underground parking for a hotel or anything, or a hospital. And there was no vehicles in there, but there was a lot of beds. They already had the portable blood pressure stuff and the operating stuff on each section. It looked very nicely done to be in an underground complex like that. But that's something to think about if you ever get in trouble over here. The only thing is, if something happens to that parking lot, you're going to be trapped under it, kind of like in an earthquake. It says at the same time, the security and rescue forces conducted extensive exercises to simulate operations after missile strikes. The Knesset Guard received specialized training to enhance their preparedness in the event of a rocket attack on Israel's parliament. Israel has also plans to deploy extensive air defense systems to protect Jerusalem, including the David Sling. This multi-layered defense strategy aims to provide more comprehensive protection. However, defense officials warn that there's no way to completely neutralize the threat. Too much, too many at the same time. That's why they may be correct, 3 different waves, but how far apart? And it makes sense that you would say first it would come from Hezbollah, just north of Israel there. And because of that, the reason they said the proximity would happen very fast, a lot of attention would be pulled there. It would be like a fake left when you're about to get hit with a right cross. But in this case, there's multi-fights going on. It says that according to previous reports, the IDF estimates that Iran's axis is ready to target government buildings in Jerusalem. Again, the Knesset. Iran's goal is to disrupt decision-making processes during the war, creating chaos and uncertainty in the city and undermining Israel's civil military chain of command. If the reports were correct yesterday, coming from some of these same sources, guys, the upper military and the upper echelon have already been moved underground to one of Israel's massive bunkers. But it's not for the general public, but the elite military, elite commanders, and the people that have a lot of money, probably. It says another critical goal for Iran is to strike at the heart of Israeli identity, inflicting a psychological blow on the nation's population. Jerusalem, with its deep religious and symbolic significance for Israelis and Jews worldwide, is a primary target of the strategy. But you got the dome there, guys. It's a mosque. It's a dual religious site. Let me say it like that. You've got all of that in one place. Would they really want to do that, or would they sacrifice that to get this through? Because they have many other holy sites, but this one is a pretty big one. Maybe this is why it says, moreover, an attack on Jerusalem would mean a direct challenge to Israel's sovereignty over its capital. Again, multiple religions colliding right there. Division has always been planted. Many religions have been put into place for control. This attack could rally support from Arabs and Muslims worldwide for Iran's Axis war effort. Like I said, Jordan's not backing Israel anymore. Egypt is not. And that's kind of, you don't have many other borders around you, Israel, at this time. But guys, just think about what I'm saying. I'd like to hear your comments below. Of course, keep them as politically correct as you can. Let's say it like that. But this is important. Now, it's as important as the stock market collapsing or anything else like that. It's one of the events. It could be a series of events, just like the trumpets in the Bible are a series of events. And in war, those trumpet sounds don't have to be very far apart. It could be attack. A few minutes later, go to the right flank or left flank or retreat. And that's it can happen that fast. It doesn't say it's spread out a long time, but we're getting to that point. So, again, just like the stock market crash that we're talking about, it bounced back a little bit today, but Japan got hit hard. Crypto got tore to pieces, guys. Been warning about that. If you can't hold it, you don't own it, and it's not worth the paper it's printed on, or in this case, the internet that it's printed on. Okay? And let me say this also. We mentioned this particular Bible verse, and someone put it in the comments last night. It was Ezekiel 7, verse 19, I think. Correct me if I'm wrong. And there's something in there that, if you're not careful, it can be overlooked. But it says that in those times, and a lot of times we'll say, well, silver and gold will be thrown into the street, right? And because it was the stumbling block of their iniquity. In other words, that's all they cared about, and that really put them down the wrong road. But what it says is they will cast their silver into the streets, because it's only, right now $27 an ounce. It could collapse. It could be worthless pretty quick. But it says the gold will be taken from them, will be removed, I think, in the Hebrew. The gold will be removed. And that almost happened. It did happen in the last depression. I think they got paid a flat rate for their gold or whatever the going rate was, but they were asked to turn it in because the government that was getting it knew it was the only thing that was going to be valuable, and they could control people. If you've got the money that you can welfare the whole nation out on, then you can control them. But guys, watch this very carefully. And what I was going to say is, go to bpearthwatch.com, look and click on the long-term survival food in the water filter sections there, guys. We only put certain types of things there that we're affiliate marketers for. It's nothing except stuff like that: survival food, water filtration, and solar panels, because to me that is part of making it through a blackout or grid down situation. And those are going to be the first things, the first casualties of war: the truth, communications. If you take out the grid, you're not going to be able to do anything. You're going to have to, if you think Miss Harris is going to come save you, you're in a sad mistake, guys, because people that have lived off the states for a long time, off the nations, off the taxes for a long time, are going to be the hardest hit, the ones that don't work when they could have. There's a lot of people out there that are on it that need it bad, especially now. Jobs are really hard to find, but I'm just saying, if you're totally dependent, and that's what they want the big cities to be, totally dependent on them so that they vote for them. Because they don't, that way they're taken care of by big brother or big sister, in whichever case it is. We're watching it, guys. You watch it. It's a heads up. Be safe.